today, under the rediscovery of Vidhana Soudha, right now I am just in front of the Karnataka Legislative Council.
Yes, today we will be briefing you about introduction to the upper house of the Vidhana Soudha. And it's at the first floor of the southern side of the Vidhana Soudha. Evolution of the legislature in the princely state of Mysore is a fascinating study. The establishment of the council is a landmark in the history of the development of the legislature body in the... Any guesses when and who initiated it? Definitely yes, it was initiated and done by late Sri Nalwadi Krishnaraja Odayar in the year 1907. Mysore Representative Assembly members pleaded for associating and requested that non-officials also should be a part of this process of lawmaking in regular legislative body. The government decided to establish council which brought well-considered measure among the people. I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but this Karnataka Legislative Council is one of the oldest in the country. And in depth about the Karnataka Legislative Council will be briefed to you by Mr. Gyan Shekhar, the parliamentarian guide. This small clipping, it's dedicated to all the members of the council. Thank you. Myself, Vasanta Kavita.
In the rediscovery of Vidhana Soudha, this has been initiated by the presiding officers. In fact, I am right now in the Karnataka Legislative Council. Among the 6 states in the entire country, the Karnataka pioneers itself as one of the remarkable states to have these kind of institutions. When I talk about the representative institutions, or when I talk about this upper house, it is also called as an elder house. But we have a bicameral legislature. In the bicameral legislature, Karnataka has 2 houses. One is called Karnataka Legislative Assembly and Karnataka Legislative Council. But when we talk about the very composition of this great hall, it was a genesis of 500 years of a legacy. It was Nalwadi Krishnaraja Odayar. Then in 1907, he had an idea in mind that during the process, the government should be associated with the non-officials. Non-officials means those who have a practical knowledge of the local conditions. That was a criteria. And after this taking into criteria, in those days, the composition was Diwan, President and the members. It was a composition of 10 and 15 members. But overall, during the time of the evolution, in 1914, it went from 15 to 21. But when I talk about in 1914, there was a right to discuss here on budget matters, and not only that, even the demands and grants. And later on in 1919, the provision was that it increased from 15 to 21. Now, when the composition was increasing, and again in 1923, the composition went to 50. 50 means 28 were official, 28 for officials in the sense where it is 20 of them were officials and 8 were non-official. Nominated one, and again last 20 of them were elected. Thereby the composition of 50, and later on when the Mysore Legislative Council regulation, it increased from 50 to 63, and overall during the period of 1987, after the reorganization of state, it increased to 75. And thereby this house has a great tradition, in fact, and I have the secretary, the first permanent secretary, Srimati K.R. Mahalakshmi, a woman secretary, thank you, a woman secretary, Srimati Mahalakshmi, who has a standing experience of 30 years, and by my side, Srimati Nirmala ma'am, who is a joint secretary, she also has the same standing experience. And they have been sitting in the well of the house. And apart from this, the main the measurement of the house is 100 into 75 feet. And again, we have the same composition. We have a beautiful chair, and this chair is a honorable chairman's chair, where the honorable chairman, Sri Pratap Chandra Shetty, sits and conducts the business of the house. And to my right side, this is called as the official gallery, where almost all the top officials will sit and assist the government in conducting the business of the house. And to my left side is a press gallery, where almost all the press people who have been accredited, they'll sit and cover the entire proceedings of the house. But overall, when we take the composition of the houses, say the most of the members, 25 members, are get elected from the assembly. That is one important aspect. 7 from the teachers, 7 from the graduate constituency, and 64 is elected, and 11 members have been nominated by the governor. This is the entire composition Over a period of time, in fact, the Karnataka the Vidhan Sabha completed 70 years in the July 13th. Over a period of time, this great hall, definitely there was a lot of hue and cry. This upper house is a clog in the wheel of administration. Not at all. This upper house has done enough measures and threadbare discussion has taken place. Many of the progressive reforms have been done. Many of the legislations have been discussed in detail, and many of the progressive legislation has been done. And recently, Honorable B.S. Yediyurappa ji nominated 5 members. One member, they are representing Vishwanath, C.P. Yogeshwar, Bharti Shetty, and a tribal man, and the other Siddhi, Talwar Siddhi. They have been nominated under the nomination category under the Article 171. Thereby, the entire composition is a spectrum of the society where almost all the issues have been raised, particularly the women's issues have been main priority, education, as well as the other issues which are the pulse of our state. And definitely, this great hall will continue its contribution. And more or less, this has been, apart from this, and this is an initiative of Srimati Vasanta Kavita and the inputs of Srimati Yes Kavita, editor Rajya Dharma, and the news contributed by News 24, Nashiman Weekly, then Bangalore Media Watch, and I want to thank the Secretary Srimati K.R. Mahalakshmi, Nirmala ma'am, and more or less Deepak sir for having permitted this opportunity to shoot. Thank you very much. Namaste.